All right, so today we're going to break down how Marvel took a totally forgotten character and consciously reverse engineered him into a full-blown messianic savior. Yeah, we're talking about one of comics' most profound allegories.
So, how in the world does a failed experiment become a cosmic savior? Well, to really get a grip on just how intentional the design of Adam Warlock was, we've got to go back to the beginning. And trust me, it was a messy, kind of aimless start.
Okay, so before he was ever Adam Warlock, this character was just this undefined being known only as him. Seriously, that was his name. He wasn't a hero, he wasn't a villain, he was literally an experiment, a total blank slate just floating out there in space.
And his origin is actually pretty wild. It's totally unique because Marvel revealed it an entire issue before he even showed up. So in Fantastic Four 66, they show us the creation of this really sinister-looking cocoon. It was this amazing bit of hype, right? Building all this anticipation for whatever was going to hatch out of it.
So, let's be clear. This guy wasn't created to be a hero or some noble explorer of the cosmos. No way. He was designed from the ground up to be a biological weapon. You had this group of classic mad scientists called the Beehive, and their whole plan was to create a perfect being who would be the template for an entire army to conquer the world. Talk about high stakes.
But here's the twist. Right from the very start, the creation rebelled. The second him busts out of that cocoon, he instantly senses the pure evil intent of his makers. So what does he do? He turns on them, completely wrecks their lab and just bolts, escaping his whole intended purpose by flying off into the stars.
And what's really fascinating is that this confusion on the page totally mirrored the creative tension happening behind the scenes. This was classic Silver Age Marvel, you know? You had co-creator Jack Kirby, who wanted this really complex, philosophical hero, but then Stan Lee comes in and rewrites it into a more straightforward story of a misunderstood monster turning on his evil masters. And because of that creative tug-of-war, the character was left completely directionless.
So, yeah, after a brief and kind of pointless fight with Thor a couple years later, this incredibly powerful being was basically just left to wander space. He was a failed experiment, not just for the scientists, but for the storytellers too. Just a total narrative loose end that Marvel had no idea what to do with. Effectively, he was put on a shelf and forgotten.
But, and this is where it gets really interesting, this forgotten character was about to get a radical rebirth, and it came from a very, very unlikely source. Believe it or not, the world of rock and roll.
Okay, picture this. The year is 1972. Psychedelic rock is blasting from the radio, the counterculture movement is in full swing, and this new, brilliant creative mind at Marvel, a guy named Roy Thomas, looks at this abandoned, blank slate character and sees, well, he sees incredible potential.
So Roy Thomas basically pulls this character out of the creative dustbin. He rescues him from total obscurity. But he knew just bringing him back wasn't gonna cut it. The character needed a powerful new story, a real purpose to actually anchor him in the Marvel Universe for good.
And where did he find that purpose? Well, the huge catalyst for this whole change was the smash hit rock opera, Jesus Christ Superstar. I mean, you have to understand, this thing was a cultural phenomenon, and Roy Thomas was directly inspired by it. He saw the potential to create his own superhero messiah, a powerful cosmic allegory that would really connect with a modern audience that was, grappling with all these old traditions and new ideas.
And that single spark of inspiration led to a complete and total reinvention. Roy Thomas didn't just give him a new name, he gave him an entirely new gospel, a divine mission that would literally define the character for decades.
The stage for this brand new story is a place called Counter-Earth. So you've got this godlike being, the High Evolutionary, who creates a perfect copy of our world on the other side of the sun. His goal? A paradise, totally free of evil. But as these stories often go, it didn't work out. It quickly became just as corrupted as Earth, a true paradise lost that was now crying out for a savior. So, in this new origin story, the High Evolutionary finds that cocoon just drifting in space. He cracks it open, reawakens the being inside, and gives him a name, Adam Warlock. And for good measure, he places the all-powerful soul gem right on his forehead. Suddenly, Warlock is no longer just some random creation. He's the chosen one, with a very clear divine task. Go down to Counter-Earth and save those people from themselves.
And just like that, with this new origin, the foundation for the whole Space Jesus metaphor was set in stone. This wasn't subtle. The parallels weren't accidental. They were the entire point of this new story.
I mean, you don't even have to look that hard. The comic itself literally gives you a parable that's the key to unlocking the whole thing. It frames the High Evolutionary not as a scientist, but as the gardener, with Counter-Earth as his corrupted garden. And Adam Warlock? He's the shepherd sent down not to rule, but to heal it. It's all right there.
And when you lay it all out, the parallels are just meticulous. Warlock is sent by his creator, a godlike father figure, right? He goes down to save a world that's been corrupted by this Satan-like figure called the Man-Beast. He then suffers a totally selfless death for the sins of that world, is resurrected inside a cave-like tomb, and finally ascends back into the heavens, or, space in his case. Literally every major beat of his journey was deliberately crafted to mirror the life of Christ. It's unmistakable. So the big takeaway here is seeing how creators can build these incredibly powerful modern myths by borrowing directly from ancient ones. I mean, this was just a masterclass in storytelling. They took what was essentially a narrative dead end, a forgotten character, and transformed him into one of Marvel's most complex and thoughtful heroes.
And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other superhero stories or movies or books that we all love are intentionally designed to be something so much deeper? What other modern myths are just hiding there in plain sight, waiting for us to decode them?